Hey everybody, we are heading into week 3 of our Unreal Engine virtual production office hours lab sessions. Last week we had some good discussions, including talks about photogrammetry and world building with cesium. And this week we're going to get a little more focused and work on building your first show set. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to build your own show set or stage for whatever scenario you'd like to envision. You have complete control in Unreal over the layout and materials. So put your set together and bring it on Saturday along with your questions. But wait, where do you start? First, make sure you have the Virtual Studio Kit. You should have a Virtual Studio Kit folder in this project. We provided this in previous weeks. If you don't have that Virtual Studio Kit folder, go ahead and use the link in this video's description to download the updated project. Once you're sure you have the right project, let's close this, fire up the Epic Launcher, and add some more content. In the launcher, go to Marketplace and search for the word Finch. This will give you a number of assets to choose from. We're interested in the Edith Finch house and common areas. Go ahead and click Add to Project, choose Show All Projects, and then find your Virtual Studio project to add these assets to it. The install shouldn't take too long, and this will add a variety of household assets to your project. Next, search the marketplace for Twinmotion, all one word. This gives you a new set of assets to choose from. We're interested in the Twinmotion Materials for Unreal pack. This pack adds a variety of photorealistic materials that are not already available in the studio project. So go ahead and click Add to Project, Show All Projects, and don't forget to find your Virtual Studio. Make sure you have the right one, and click Add to Project. Now this pack is quite large. It's 8 gigabytes, so be sure to give this plenty of time to download and get installed. With that done, you're ready to go back into the Virtual Studio project and get started on building your set. So when you open up your Virtual Studio project now, you'll have 2 new folders. There's the EF First Floor and the Twinmotion Materials. We can take a look at what these add to the project by double-clicking. So we'll go into Twinmotion Materials, and let's go into Levels, and then you can ignore Museum, just go into Showcase. Now the first time you open Showcase, it can take a while. Again, we have 8 gigabytes of new materials that are loaded into the system, and they're going to need to be compiled. Opening the Showcase is going to force Unreal Engine to compile those. So this can take a long time. Let it ride. In my case, it took about 10 minutes to open up the level, but now all of the materials are compiled and ready to go. Feel free to explore the level to take a look at the various materials that are now available. We can also take a look at the EF First Floor folder, and under Maps, just take a look at Overview. The first floor is an existing level layout. If we click on Overview, you'll have a level very similar to this. The EF Overview takes much less time to load because the materials are very lightweight. Just let them compile. Once your compiles are complete, you can just browse around a little bit. I'm holding the Alt key and turning left. You can click an object like this refrigerator and tap F to frame it, fit it. And then once we have a nice exposure, we can zoom back out and take a look at some of the things that are in here. Lots of kitchen things in this segment. Just middle mouse dragging to be able to slide over. I can click on one of these book sets and tap F to fit that in. Again, these textures are not necessarily entirely photoreal. Alt middle mouse drag to kind of move up and down. These are intended for a video game, but it does give you a lot of variety. Again, middle mouse drag to move sideways across here. Some dining room items, some living room items. So you have a lot of household furnishings and props and other finishing items in this set. So let's get started on making a set of your own. Click up to the content level, right click, and choose level. This will create a brand new level. Let's try my first set. And this will be our little TV set. Double click to open it up, save anything that's been adjusted at all, and we'll start out with a black void. So let's start by adding a floor. We'll go into the Virtual Studio Kit, Meshes, and Floors. Take this third floor here from the left. It's just a basic floor. Drag it, drop it into your scene. You'll have an outline. There's no light yet, but let's get this into position first. Here on the right, you'll see transform, and the location, we want that to start off at being 0, 0, 0. So I double-clicked on the X and hit 0. That brings it up close to us. Tab, hit Y, 0, Tab, and Z, 0. Enter. So now the floor is at 0, 0, 0. It's still selected. Can we see the outline? So I can tap F to frame that up. Let's select that here. Tap F. There we go. Now we've got that framed up, and there's our floor. We'd like to see it, so let's go over here to our Place Actors and drag out a point light. Bring it right above the floor. Now we'll start to see things. Just lift up this point light so we get plenty of light spread out over the scene. And let's give ourselves a little more floor space. I'll click on the one floor, hold the Alt key, and I'm going to move this to the left. Now, if you don't see this little gizmo, just tap W. That'll give you the move gizmo. I have the grid snapping on, so I'll hit Alt and drag, and by holding the Alt key when I drag, I ended up with a second copy. Click, Alt, click and drag. And now I've got a third copy. Again, with the grid snapping on, I'm able to line this up so it just touches. And there we go. We've got a continuous floor to start our stage on. Maybe want to have a little bit more space front to back. So I'll select all three of these. Click, hold Shift, click again, Shift, click again, Alt key, and drag forward. And now I've got a pretty good floor here. I got plenty of floor space to work with. Maybe we want a little bit more light, so I'll just click this one light, hold the Alt key, and drag forward. So now I've got light in the center. We're not going to worry about lighting this week, just worry about building a set. So let's just try to use a few of the assets we have. Going back to the Meshes folder under Virtual Studio Kit, I'm going to go ahead and add a riser. And this will be kind of like a little talk show set. So just drag this riser out. There we go. Now we have a place to put our guest and our host. Let's say we're going to give a couple sofas for them. So we'll go up to Content and get that from the EF first floor. Double clicking there, and in Meshes, I'll look for a couch. Just scroll down here, and right there is a couch. Just clicking, dragging, dropping. Tap E to rotate, and now I can just rotate this around. And W again to position. Alt key and left mouse just to rotate a little bit. And there we go. All right, I've got one couch. Alt key, drag and move that over. E, and we're starting to put together a pretty nice set. W. Now, not happy with the actual material on this couch from the EF first floor, so let's change that up with some materials from Twinmotion. We'll go to Content, Twinmotion Materials, Materials, and look for Fabrics. There we are, Fabric. So we have a variety of patterns. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to take this pie carpet. There we go. Maybe something a little more colorful. Maybe that's too much. Let's try this one. All right, that's pretty cool. And maybe some blue stripes over here. Maybe this. And there you go. So you can see how we can drag different materials onto these furnishings, and we'll get our different looks. So there we go. That's the start of a talk show set. Now we might want to add some more things, such as walls and such. So I can go back to Content and the Virtual Studio Kit, Meshes, and there are a variety of walls to choose from. Double click on walls, and most of these are going to be fairly flat. There are some other meshes to look at under Meshes. You can take a look at facades, and here is some more interesting walls with a little bit of detail in them, in their geometry. Another note is that under Meshes and Paragon, there are some specialty items. So for example, this angled wall. So I could bring up this angled wall, E, rotate it, and not particularly happy with that really shiny material. So maybe I want to change that to a dark wood. Again, I could go to Content, Twinmotion, and then Materials and look for something here. I could go to Concrete, for example, and drag that onto that shiny metal. And now I've got something a little more subdued. There's also, of course, we could say that this is going to be sound-absorbing fabric. So I could go to Fabric, maybe take a gray wool here and soften that up. Maybe a little bit of a tan color. So there's some options like that. And of course, there are some materials inside the Virtual Studio Kit. So I can click on here, go to Materials, and Wood, and maybe choose a dark wood. Put that on there. You'll note that as I'm dragging and dropping, I'm deliberately selecting an area that I want that material to go to. I could add some glow to this. So I'll go to Materials and Glow. And I'll take the least intensive glow here. This looks like this MI Glow 5. I'm going to drag that on one of the white squares, and there we go. So now we're starting to put together a little talk show. I'll hit Alt and drag so I get another copy of this, E to rotate it, and W to position it. So there we go. I would love to see you do way better than I did, because this is terrible. So put together a set. I have an example where I put together a talk show and another one where it was a kitchen for a cooking show. Let's see what you can do. Bring your sets on Saturday. Looking forward to seeing you then. We start at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Hope to see you there. Until then, have fun.